Okay, in this video we'll learn how to find the GCF, the greatest common factor, and the LCM, the least common multiple. And the strategy that we'll use is the ladder method. So first, number one, we want the GCF, the greatest common factor of these two numbers, 64 and 72. Okay, so first write those numbers, 64 and 72. Write them side by side and then draw an L for ladder. Okay, now we need to think about what is a factor that 64 and 72 both have in common. Well, they're both even numbers, so we can pull out a 2 because all even numbers have a factor of 2. Now we think about 2 times what is 32? 2 times what is 64? 2 times 32 is 64. Now 2 times what is 72? Well, 2 times 36 is 72. So now I'm left with 32 and 36. Do these have a common factor? Yes, they do. And because they do, I got to make an additional ladder. All right. Now, what factors do 32 and 36 have in common? Well, again, they're both even, so I know I can pull out a 2. 2 times what is 32? Well, that would be 16. 2 times what is 36? That would be 18. Okay. Now, do 16 and 18 have a common factor? Again, they're both even, so I make an additional branch, additional ladder, and I know that they both have a factor of 2, so I pull out another 2. 2 times what is 16? That would be 8. 2 times what is 18? That would be 9. Okay, now I'm left with 8 and 9. Do 8 and 9 have a common factor? No, they don't, other than 1. And so they don't have a common factor other than 1, so I'm not going to make an additional branch. And so the GCF, the greatest common factor, would be these factors out here on the side, out here on the left. I just go straight down. I go straight down for the GCF and I multiply those numbers together. So 2 times 2 times 2, that is 8. Okay, so the greatest common factor, the GCF, is equal to 8. That's the greatest common factor of 64 and 72. That's the largest factor that is a factor of both 64 and 72. Okay, we'll do one more example for the GCF. I want the GCF, the greatest common factor of 14 and 49. Okay, so I'm going to write those numbers side by side, draw an L for ladder, and think about what factor is a factor of 14 and 49. Well, they both have 7 as a factor. 7 times what is 14? That would be 2. 7 times what is 49? That would be 7. Do 2 and 7 have a common factor? No, they don't. Okay, so I can't make an additional branch, and so the GCF is, I just go straight down for GCF. I just only have one factor, right? So I could say 7 times 1 or just 7. That would be the GCF. The greatest common factor equals 7. Okay, next we'll do one example in this video of LCM. So here we want the least common multiple of 22 and 55. 22 and 55. Okay, again, we're going to use the ladder method. It works just the same as GCF except at the end. Okay, so I'm going to write these numbers, 22 and 55, side by side, draw an L. I think about what is a factor that is a factor of both 22 and 55. Well, that would be 11, right? 11 times 2 is 22, and 11 times 5 is 55. Do 2 and 5 have a common factor? No, they don't. Okay, so I can't make an additional branch. So my LCM, if I look for the LCM, I make an L. I go down and to the right. So these numbers multiplied, 11 times 2 times 5, that's going to give me the LCM, the least common multiple between 22 and 55. Well, I know that 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 times 11 would be 110. Okay, so the LCM, the least common multiple of these two numbers, would be 110.